It's been about 3.5 decades since 22-year-old Sid Wells was murdered.
This is Sam Wells over at Spanish Towers. I just walked in from a camping trip. It looks like my little brother's laying here dead.
Sam was the one that called me and told me. He couldn't finish telling me. He was just a train wreck. And so hung up. Mom was not in any kind of shape to do anything but try to just let me know to come home. And that was the message I got from Mom, was just come home.
Police Chief Dave Hayes was on the scene as a young detective in August of 1983. He's been searching for Sid's killer ever since.
So this is it, this is Spanish Towers.
This is it. Homicide occurred here. It was in the North Tower. Sidney Wells was found laying face down. There was some blood at the back of his head. He was obviously not moving. Closer examination appeared to be a gunshot wound, later confirmed by the coroner's office as a 20-gauge shotgun death.
And what were some of the original ideas around the suspects from the detectives?
Well, because there was no forced entry, first thing we wanted to do was account for all the roommates. Sidney was dating a young lady by the name of Shauna Redford. Shauna was obviously very upset. She had spent the previous night with Sid Wells. She also had spent later on, early into that same morning, in Sid's apartment with Thane and other friends. Sam Wells had gone camping. Shauna had been either out running errands or at school, and so we were able to account for their whereabouts. Thane Smyka, who was the third person living in the apartment, we didn't initially know where he was. We found a note that he had left on the coffee table.
The note was written on an envelope and indicated Smyka went home to his parents' house in Akron, Colorado. Detective Fred Neitzel drove the 2 hours there and knocked on the door.
Thane Smyka came to the door, and I said, "Are you aware that Sidney Wells has been murdered?" And of course he's, "No, I didn't know that."
In a taped interview with detectives, Smyka claimed he had seen Sid that morning and had paid the back rent that he owed.
This will be a taped interview with Thane, middle initial A, last name Smyka. You say you left about, what time? 10:11, it's 10. We left the apartment before you did. Yeah.
Back in Boulder, detectives used the chemical luminol to check for the presence of blood that's invisible to the naked eye.
It appeared that after the homicide took place, somebody was carrying something with blood on it. We're presuming in this case that it was the barrel, the shotgun that was being carried around. Then that person went to the bedroom that was being used by Thane Smyka.
You know, there's blood everywhere. But the note itself, it was on top of blood.
And that could only mean one thing. The envelope with Smyka's note was left after Sid's murder. Police made a second trip to the house in Akron. This time, Smyka wasn't there.
The mother and sister, said, look around if you want. I found a 20-gauge shotgun and a box of 20-gauge rounds. 3 rounds were missing. That was my smoking gun. If I can take pellets out of Sidney Wells' head and take pellets from a round that Thane Smyka had in possession, and they match, that's a good place to start. The FBI broke down the minerals and everything else, and lo and behold, it was an exact match.
We believe we have enough information. We present it to the DA's office. The warrant is approved.
And Thane Smyka was arrested in Boulder 2 months after Sid's murder.
Finally, justice is going to be done. Justice is going to be served.
But for Rob and his family, the nightmare was about to get worse.
DA's office has a little bit of a change of heart and decides that at that point they don't want to go through with filing of charges. I think they were hoping for some additional information.
They had him. They had him, and the DA let him go. It wasn't the police department, it was the district attorney. Unbelievable.